heard they checking for me, no one checking on me, so I had to go run up a check. I got the message on me, ain't no flexing on me, my attorney gon' call and collect. Blessings on blessings for me, my successes only made them envious, they got upset. I had to put all their egos in check. I want the money, the power, respect, and I heard you know so-and-so, you not a threat, cause I really know so-and-so, they like my family, so they go pretend that they cool till they bust at your motherfucking chest. I'm getting gutter, my flow been like butter, my check in the bank, they see the number. All of my haters feel one of two ways, really upset or they show some respect. I can't even think about it, I've been up, so read about it, no beat around it, straight to it, no ring around it. You coming for me, we'll see about it, we'll never see it when I get my feet up. 100 meters where I run the fear, and go for king and nine, I'm on a pier. I had to re-up on a reel, so you stay the feeder, and put it back into the bit, cause I don't really need it. I heard they checking for me, no one checking on me, so I had to go run up a check. I got the message on me, ain't no flexing on me, my attorney gon' call and collect. Blessings on blessings for me, my successes only made them envious, they got upset. I had to put all their egos in check. I had to put all their egos in check. You're not entitled to anything else. I get 10 years of this under my belt. Your art is an art, they don't feel it, and nobody hears it. An issue to stay on the shelf. Your ego done got in the way. It gotta die today. It gotta go. You should be happy I lighten the load. The weight of your arrogance, heavy as stone. I make an appearance, they already know. That chip on your shoulder gon' crumble and fold, yeah. It's not a secret that you have been fearing the shit that I'm on. So you back to the brag and the boast. But I'm in a class of my own. I heard they checking for me, no one checking on me, so I had to go run up a check.
Hello. Welcome back to Drone Brews, the best damn streaming show on Wednesday nights. It's going to be a great show for you guys tonight. We have a hell of a lineup set for you. Got special guests, no giveaways. So if you're just here for that, I gave away all the shit last week. I have nothing else to give away. My boss tells me I can't give anything else away. We're going to go bankrupt. Tonight, we have none other than Drone Jesus himself. If you don't know who that is, I'll let him educate you here in just a moment. And because I have Jesus on the show, I'm also drinking Sweet Baby Jesus, a phenomenal beer, wonderful brewery. It's a chocolate peanut butter porter, 6.2% of fluid alcohol. Doesn't smell as good as Jesus's hair, but certainly tastes amazing. So it's going to be an amazing show. We're going to be talking about all things Autel. But first, let me go ahead and bring in my esteemed colleague and wonderful co-host, Eduardo Nunez.
What's
Eduardo?
up?
Hey. It seems like we were just here last week, right before the Super Bowl, and we went all Oprah. We gave away a bunch of drones.
Yeah.
Had the first ever game of drones. That was super fun.
It was.
It was a good time. So I can't wait to do that again very soon. We're going to have to do it again very soon. Eddie, let's really quickly, we're going to jump into the chat. We're going to greet some people. I see there's a lot of people here. We got Maddie's Drone World, Lon's here, Celis Zegar, Maddie's Drone World, Arco Drone Solutions, TJ. We got Javier. I see New England Dronalist, not to be confused with the Dronalist. Joe Fodelio, Fly Zone Drones, Blue Eye Visuals, Burlap and Light, and Ariel Sean. Welcome to the stream, guys. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the Autel products. We've brought in John McBride from Autel Robotics. He's going to be joining us. And actually, we also have one extra person on tonight with us, and that's Greg from Pilot Institute. He's going to be joining us here on the stream as well as he's making his way over to desk. Greg has a $45 million studio, and he's having some technical difficulties with the green screen. How's it going, Greg?
I'm so mad.
Greg,
this beautiful thing right here is not supposed to be green. It's supposed to disappear and show a beautiful logo. And this was a surprise for you, Ken. We had made the Pilot Institute logo into the Dobo logo.
Not only is it $45 million, but he's frozen right now.
Do I tell him he's also frozen?
No.
Yeah. Let's try it again.
I'm showing it up live on the feed.
Why does it do that though? Sometimes
Really?
maybe. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. There he is. He's moving again. Sometimes it's weird. Like I think sometimes like Restream is like weird with certain cameras. Like it takes a minute for them to come on in there, and I don't know. All right. Well, good to have you, Greg. Greg, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking Union Jack.
Union Jack. Okay. Wow.
I'm drinking something
from the Super Bowl.
What are you drinking, Eddie? Can you show me what you're drinking?
I have.
Hold it up. Hold it up to the camera, Eddie. Show us what you're drinking.
I want to introduce it first. It's
Okay.
the first Philadelphia IPA beer. It's actually the beer that introduced me to this drone community.
Oh, wow.
You ready? Yeah, you ready to see it?
What is that? What is it called? Oh, it's called Eyebrows.
Yeah, well,
Eyebrows IPA?
yeah, Eyebrows IPA. So
Okay.
it's the flavor
Delicious.
changes, as you move it around. As you can see, like the contents is changing. Yeah,
Eyebrows.
but it's really cool. It's a really good beer. I think it's rated at it's the first IPA rated at a 1.2 because this person normally drinks Sprite, so we kept it light.
Well, before we get too far ahead, I want to go ahead. I got to throw out here a plug for Texas Drone Workshop. Guys, if you are interested in learning about how to make money with your drone, coming up March 19th through 20th in Dallas, Texas, we have the Texas Drone Workshop 2022. They're going to have in-person seminars and in-person training. That's hands-on training if you're wanting to learn how to make money with real estate, thermal scans, site scans, mapping, basically anything that you can do with the drone to make money with it. That class is going to be going on 19th through 20th. I will be teaching the real estate portion. There'll be a link in the description below if you want to sign up. There are only 150 spots available, and they're going to go really quick. Links will be down below after the stream if you want to sign up for that class. I think it's going to definitely be a good one to be taking a part of. With that being said, let's go ahead and bring in John McBride, or as everybody else knows him, Drone Jesus.
Thank you. I have to have my glasses on simply to match your awesome, intro graphic that you did for this webinar. So,
webinar!
For,
Wow,
yeah.
webinar! We're having a webinar tonight.
this webinar show, Brews, you got it. And unfortunately, I got some stuff I've got to do tomorrow. People have to work around here, so I'm just drinking coffee tonight.
You know what? There's nothing wrong with coffee, John. I wouldn't have it any other way. But I want to start off with, why don't you introduce yourself? Because there's a lot of people that may have not have been around the industry or just drones in general that don't know who you are, if you can believe that. So go ahead and introduce who you are, not where you work now, but how did you get here?
It's a very long story. I could probably sit here for a long time, but just to be kind of interested in this industry, the drones, the idea of it, this goes all the way back to when I was 12 years old. Radio control was my thing. I loved airplanes. I loved helicopters. Me and my brother just built stuff and had a great time with it. It was a major hobby for me at that time. We didn't, of course, have drones because they weren't quite a thing yet. But this is back, 35 years ago, starting in RC. I've got a plane here that I got to work on and get flying in the next couple of days anyway. So anyway, when we moved over into the drone stuff, I didn't necessarily see drones for me being the actual physical drone, the 4 blades, props,
right,
camera. I didn't see that. I saw drones already as a tool, whether it be RC airplanes or helicopters. That's kind of where I started, was RC helicopters back in 2001, putting autonomous things on RC aircraft to give them the stability capability, GPS to some degree, but basically taking what most people like this here, very difficult to fly, and making that a little bit easier to fly for the normal everyday guy. And as we've certainly moved into seeing the development of FPV racers and these guys that have to have some level of skill, if you will, to actually fly. I mean, these are definitely awesome developments in the hobby, and things that I've kind of just stayed with. I mean, I go back far enough that lithium polymer wasn't even a thing yet. We were still using NiCads and nickel metal hydride batteries. We didn't even have brushless motors. We had brushed motors to try to fly things. So electric has come a long way. And of course, moving into the drone side, some of the first stuff I built, putting a camera on the bottom of something, it goes back 20 years.
Wow.
And I didn't, I specifically didn't think that, again, I like tinkering. I like to build stuff. I like to make stuff, and to give it purpose more so than just being a hobby.
Sure.
That was kind of my intention was, showing police departments, and I live here in Utah, so we have big mountains just right in my backyard that are 5,000 feet high, and people get lost up there all the time. We've got lakes and stuff here that people drown in, and I just thought, man, if there could be a way not just to help public safety, but also to create things that would help ease up safety and jobs and time. So I ended up working with a company called RMUS, Rocky Mountain Unmanned Systems, also out of Utah. We were a dealer, but we focus primarily on enterprise. So a lot of your audience probably is a bit more in the hobbyist, the recreational flyer and stuff like that. And I haven't really played a lot in that realm,
Yeah.
But more in the commercial space. So a lot of the people that have been doing work with drones, I started making cinema rigs with helis. And my first, a lot of times people are like, hey, when did you get into this industry? And they coincide this when they bought their first DJI. That like my first drone was a Phantom, and that's when I got into doing drones. But mine with DJI goes back to 2008 because they didn't make drones yet. They made flight controllers for RC helicopters. So I figured out the Ace 1 flight controller is what it was called, put it on an RC helicopter, put a camera on the bottom. So a lot of my initial commercial use cases were cinema. People that wanted to do commercials for Audi. Again, I live here in Utah, so we had Articat, we had all kinds of different companies I worked with, built machines, flew them to some degree, or eventually as drones got to be drones, multi-rotor type setups,
Right.
Then it moved into that. But I co-founded the company RMUS. We focused a lot more solution-centric, trying to, again, use my years of doing this to hodgepodge, gaff tape, whatever you want to call it, make products to work into this industry. And from LiDAR systems to high megapixel cameras to multispectral, hyperspectral, thermal. So a lot of people know me from the thermal world. So another one of my nicknames outside of Drone Jesus is Thermal Thor.
Thermal Thor.
So I certainly don't look like that guy. I just need a lot more.
Thermal Thor.
Yeah.
Ken, I see a t-shirt. I see a t-shirt.
My wheels were turning right after he said it, Greg. Thermal Thor. So
yeah. So
that's my marketing director, Greg, over here.
So a lot, like I said, it was more of the commercial space. It was more of trying to figure out how to buy expensive equipment to some degree, and even cheaper equipment to do jobs with them. And that's kind of where it came into play. My role specifically at Autel Robotics is the director of training. So in order, with me building this type of stuff, well, who better than to show you how to use it except the guy that built it? So
sure.
Being a trainer is why I was asked initially by Randall Warnes when he was with Autel to kind of get a training regiment program, anything that kind of helped with the training side.
What did they have prior to you coming on board? Did they have a training program, something where somebody was going out working with no?
Nah, there wasn't really anything in specific like that. Dealers, like, this is the one problem that I had, being a dealer for commercial stuff, is that at RMUS, that's what I did, is I created training, but without the manufacturer helping to give us guidelines like DJI. I mean, we sold DJI like a mother, but there wasn't really much guideline on helping us create training. So literally, I was just making that shit up. I mean, that's the best way to say it. You're making up training based on your knowledge.
Gotcha.
And it would take me months sometimes to really understand the equipment that they just came out with, settings and things like that, put a curriculum together, and then try to do the training. And Greg can speak of this to some degree on how much time it really takes without knowing anything. You just get something brand new and and here you go, Greg, figure it out, you know, and
Yeah.
it's not something that you want to rush, because even on new products, you have a lot of things that you need to learn about to teach people how to use the functionality and the capability and the limitations. That's another big one, is just understanding limitation. So,
right. And I see you all over the place. I see you jet setting at least once, twice a week, all over the place, working with different agencies. What is the most popular thing that you've been training on? Is it Dragonfish? That seems to be the hottest item right now that agencies are really having their eyes on.
yeah, I think that was my my initial thing, was to try and focus on the Dragonfish product line. That definitely that. At least those that have been buying it, it's a fairly new product. So even
Right.
demonstrations, a lot of the jumping around to different cities right now has just been doing demos with it, showing what it's capable of, what it's not capable of. Again, knowing limitation of both pilot and equipment is really important in this industry, you know, very
Right.
important. So yeah, so that's been a lot of what I've been doing lately. And then again, I only started back in July, and it's automatic to assume with a lot of people that, well, you got that Autel logo on, so you should know everything there is about Autel and what they are and what the products are. And you know, it does take a little time to get people that just got hired to know a little bit more deeper into the products, you know. So
Yeah, and that's true. And I mean, it's hard to even really, you know, think about the fact that you've only been there since July. But I guess when you're around these products, you know, there is a sense of familiarity. You know, being, you know, coming from the dealer world. Let's talk about some of the product lines that we have right now. Not only just obviously you have the commercial lineup, you have the Nano and the new Light series that was just launched. We also have the Evo V2s. They made a transition from the V1 version due to chipsets and transmission. Talk to us a little bit about that, being around Autel during these transition periods, like
sure. I mean,
the thought process was.
this was absolutely happening just before I came on board with Autel. So as a dealer, again, at RMUS, knowing that what might be coming down the pipeline to sell out there into the world, we knew the V1, V2 chip thing was kind of happening. And the disadvantages and advantages of them not just having a chip shortage, but also kind of increasing the ability for range and other things that were a positive. Some of the negatives on that was, you know, a lot of people really love that live deck product that Autel makes, being able to transmit to two separate places and stream that or push that. So yeah, that was a little bit about knowing about the V1 and V2, and it was actually a good choice to some degree, and sourcing is also obviously an issue to some point. Now, Dragonfish, of course, we just talked about that. I was highly impressed with that product. I've never seen anything like it, you know. And then I wouldn't call it new to Autel. Again, my history with Autel, specifically the brand, goes all the way back when they first started. They brought their X-Star platform to me when it was still white. It wasn't even orange yet, to do flight testing on it. Yeah, white with a big red ring in the middle, right?
Yep.
And so I was doing initial flight testing with that, and unfortunately, I don't say that it didn't have a chance, but we had the release of another brand new DJI product that pretty much just, you know, brand recognition just kind of killed the sales of it real fast. So, you know, they made a great product. It was very similar.
But you think that with that product, that was the problem, that it was too closely resembled to the Phantom series at the time?
I don't think it was a resemblance issue. Remember, there was other companies, Walkera, that was making ones that looked like a Phantom. You know, there was other companies out there, absolutely, that made Phantom form factors, and it worked well. You know, it was clean, it was smaller, it worked good. You know, so to copy it, you know, plane's a plane, right? I mean, they all look like planes, they all fly like planes, they're all similar. You know, but I wouldn't say it was necessarily a copy. But what happened specifically with that product line is that the Phantom 4 came out, and that was a game changer. I mean, it really was. It was a game changer of functionality, that kind of squashed the sales a little bit. I'm sorry, Ken.
I think your mic is your mic, John.
Is it off?
Yeah, I think it's Well, it's not on.
Better? No.
Yeah, that's definitely better. Some reason
Okay.
maybe it was the hair, the Pantene Pro V.
Creating static.
Let me get it out of the way. I'm sorry.
No, that's good. You know what it is? It's the locks, the luscious locks. Sometimes they will affect the microphone tendencies, the frequencies.
I know none of you know anything about that, but I'm sorry if that ever is a problem again. I apologize.
No, you're good, man. You're good. I
think it's the same.
Eddie and I were back here. We're like, is it me? Is it you?
I was thinking that. Who is it?
Well,
my bad. I can't hear anything
the
on
new
that
guy.
side, but
So let's talk about the releases that have just happened. So we have the Nano and the Light. They've launched.
Yeah, what I was kind of getting at there is that they gave it a chance in the I guess you could call it the consumer world, right? The consumer electronics world. They put a product out there. Frank's and that Frank Lee, the owner of Autel Robotics, he definitely had a feeling of, if it isn't working great, not just selling products, but if it isn't working well, then maybe we should, kind of shelve it and hold off and do stuff. And he's very passionate about good product. I mean, he really is. So anyway, but as we got the Evo 2, a little bit more of the high prosumer type product line. We got thermal cameras built into them. We have the Dragonfish, and then all of a sudden we start talking about Nano and Light. And I will say that the consumer side of things, in all of the years, I also ran a hobby shop for 10 years. In all of these years, the consumer side is a very tough audience. There is no doubt.
Yeah.
It's a tough audience.
Give us like the short and sweet of it, consumer to enterprise, pros and cons, when you're dealing with a consumer and then, you're dealing with people that do this professionally. Like what are the sort of the ebbs and flows of what, why companies rather deal with the enterprise side versus dealing with the consumer side?
Yeah. Well, there's it's not a different animal, but it's a different expectation on the end of the person that sells it, and when we sell to an enterprise versus a consumer person, let's be honest, you go to Best Buy, that's full of consumer electronic product lines, right?
Right.
All kinds of things. And we in this little industry that we have, you go in there, you buy something from the guy in the blue shirt, not nearly as educated on which ones do what. There's a plethora of drones that are sitting there that you can purchase and buy. You walk out with your box, you take it home, you play with it, you find out, man, my wife's mad at me. You get some, I shouldn't have spent that much money. You take it back and no big deal. Other people really do buy it to enjoy it as a hobby product. Like I said, I've got, tons of planes and helicopters just to fly for fun. And that's that side. Your expectation is just, I want to buy it and it works good and show it off to my friends, and maybe do something with it to film my buddies or go to a vacation. On the other side, on the enterprise side, and this is one thing I want to be very specific about. Enterprise doesn't necessarily mean let's call it enterprise. You can still take a consumer made drone and have an enterprise customer buy it. You with me on that? So
yeah. I'm sorry, I'm reading comments. He said, "Who is this dude? I think he owns a safari park in Tulsa."
Yes. Actually, I have two of them. One in Tulsa and one in Scottsdale.
Oh, jeez.
So anyway, the enterprise guy though that is buying this like any other job is buying it for a tool. They're buying it for a tool, and that tool needs to work. The working tool is very important. That if we're making money off of it, if we're saving lives with it, if we're doing inspection to save money, that it's a different customer. And it's no problem for a lot of these customers, at least in the early days when I was doing, to overnight me an aircraft, $5,000 to fix it, and then send it back the next day so that they could have it ready for a shoot on Friday. I was always dealing with in both hobby and consumer side, people coming in and buying a $150 drone and complaining that they had to buy a $5 motor to get it flying again, that their kid crashed, you know. And it's not negative, it's just that it's different, you know. These, again, we rely on the products to do a job.
So let's tie that back into, we just had this release, Nano and Lights were released, and it wasn't a perfect release, right? So you had the Lights plus the Light, you had the Nano Plus, and there's been a lot of chatter. Now, I know you're on the training side, but as a whole, as a company as a whole, as Autel, you guys have meetings. You have these group meetings. You talk about the issues because everybody has to be on the same page for the company to move forward in a a unified direction. So you have these meetings. You start seeing that there's the chatter of complaints where speed isn't what it was advertised. The drones are not performing. You know, what are some of those steps that Autel took to try to figure out, okay, do we have a defective product, like as far as physical product, or are we having a software issue? What was the thought process to move that information forward?
Well, let's go back to when it was announced. Obviously, there was a lot of people that were super excited.
Massive gap. September is when these were announced. Do you think that
there was the initial announcement, and you know, I will say that when we do have again in the consumer electronics side of the world, we release, or we hear that Xbox is going to be releasing something, or someone's doing, and there's already the anticipation to buy. And I think we may have done that a little too early. That's my own opinion there.
I agree with that.
You know, a little bit too early, because the second that you get some chatter going on and you know, some drone DJ looks up that some new patent from DJI got filed, and all of a sudden we start talking about something, it creates the buzz and starts going. But you know, within a month or so, at minimum, you're going to have product that needs to start hitting the shelves and at least start being purchased, you know, at a minimum. And you know, internally we've talked about this, but let's go back to the passion of Frank Lee, who, by the way, runs another separate company, Autel Diagnostic. We can talk about that in a minute, but his passion to try and make a product, when released, to not just function well, but also be very safe. You know, we don't want drones falling out of the sky. We already know that's happened with other manufacturers. We don't want you know, issues of them just quitting, you know, and not taking off. We don't want to have apps that are just absolutely crummy. So to say that it went from 13, you know, we said it was going to do 15, it only flies 13. I mean, I come from a realistic, you know, hey, what does it mean to me to go 33 miles an hour versus 29? Is it the end of the world? If it's windy, the conditions could be tough. But we want to be careful internally. Saying anything like that obviously can put a little tarnish on some things. So there's absolutely talk, you know, to initially see, hey, we're not, the numbers aren't hitting, the gimbal isn't acting right, the camera's not behaving correctly.
Do you think there was a disconnect with marketing, you know, from what the drones could do to what they were actually advertising? Do you think that there was they didn't give? I think
any time that we're talking about marketing, talking to when we start to push it out, any product, there's got to be some R&D time. You know?
Yeah, I agree with that.
And so, you know, I always used to say this in the commercial market, or at least at RMUS, I hated prototypes. Absolutely hated DJI sending me a prototype product, or another company that made a special LiDAR that didn't want anyone to know, and it was just a prototype. Because then you could see that it flew great, it ran great, it did great, you know. Well, they're special boards, they're not quite sourced with all the same. Then when you get into mass manufacturing of said units, then you've got some things that end up happening that, again, sourcing, tooling issues, you know, the rubber of the gimbal wasn't exactly the same of what the prototype was, or, you know, we put it in wind tunnel testing, yet, not the newest one. It's slightly different. The form factor might have changed just a little bit. So these are all part of the manufacturing process. And again, there might have been just a little bit of time there that we didn't really give or evaluate before going, here you go,
So
And
so
go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, you talk about manufacturing, and I had a question earlier about DJI Autel getting into a slightly different shape of drone, smaller drones. Um, Obviously, we know that this industry is based on volume. This is a volume game, so you have the manufacturing capabilities, so you can actually lower the price and make it available to more people. We know that DJI is king at this, and there's a reason they have 70-some% of the market. Is this what Autel is hoping to accomplish with this smaller size drone and getting their manufacturing capabilities up, and then in the meantime learning the hard reality of what it takes to do that, which is what you're
I think
mentioning right now, right?
I think both. I think again, when you're talking about manufacturing in China, specifically, making drones in China, there's factories and places and areas out there that, if they're not making drones today, they're making flower parts tomorrow. If they're not making flower parts, they're making eyeglasses. They're making something else. That's kind of, they got to keep these people employed and moving along. However, there's other focused companies that that's what they want to concentrate on. And I think the perspective here has always been, let's make something with Autel, make something that can impact the industry, not just copy. And even though that seems to be the case with the size of the drone and under 250 grams, I mean, honestly, I've seen 20 million form factors with 4 blades, 4 legs, 4 ESCs, camera on the bottom. How much different can you really make a drone to be different than anything else? They're all damn.
I think now, obviously, because now we've gotten into this point where we're seeing foldable drones, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, DJI introduced the Mavic, and it was a foldable design. It was the first of its kind, behind the GoPro Karma, of course.
So we'll say that Autel actually had the idea first. I'm just saying.
Okay. So whoever had the idea first, we now got this form factor of these foldable drones, and they made their way down the pipe. So now this is the new form factor. So it's hard, obviously, to say, So you get to a point where, you can only make a foldable drone so many different ways, right?
Right.
We saw this with Walkera. Walkera goes too crazy with their designs, and they were just absolutely flakes and fails. Lots of quality control issues. We've seen it with Unique, and Unique is uniquely no longer really relevant anymore. And then of course Parrot, who's tried to reinvent that. But I guess it's like the wheel. Why reinvent something that is working? And I see that Autel and DJI alike sort of stay to that similar design factor, which it's working.
The form factor is one thing, but if you look at even some of the applications, are very similar, and they don't need to be totally different. I mean, there's nothing wrong with something that looks, the UI looks similar and things are kind of in the same spot. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's, and again, I don't believe that's a level of copying. It's just keeping, it's almost like keeping it standard, to some degree. I mean, I've definitely used other drones UIs, and I'm like, what the devil? Like, it doesn't even make sense how it's arranged sometimes, and I don't know. So anyway, back to the punch out and the commercial, in the consumer side, it was a huge endeavor. There is no doubt, Greg. and let's be honest. Even though the market share is market share, we're talking producing the physical numbers that DJI has made. And it's astounding to understand the physical numbers. This company has 12,500 employees. Out of that, 1,500 to 1,800 of them are engineers, flight controller engineers, camera engineers. Autel has on our side 400 employees and to say that we can all of a sudden start making the thousands of drones to supplement what DJI has, impossible. And I'm not trying to be I'm trying to be real about it. It's nearly impossible to try and do that at scale. But hey, let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. Let's see how the world responds to a smaller drone that we can produce. We're good at making drones. That is true, and we can definitely try to see how the market will respond as we go down this road. And like anything, Phantom 1s sucked. They flew, but they weren't that great. Phantom 2s got a little bit better. Phantom 3s, and then all of a sudden we got the Boss Phantom 4. Let's look at all the other product lines, that they've made. And I think the Evo line has also kind of done the same, to where there's this progression of learning and pulling back and learning and pulling back. And, unfortunately, just to get, stuff out there and make your money back to some degree, you do have to get it out there and let the world figure out what's good and bad, and just roll with it and keep pushing it. And I think on this back end, we'll talk about obviously the issues, the underlying issues that are out right now, and what we're trying to do to fix it. And that is an important part of any product that you buy, is the company pulling together to try and find a fix and a solution to not just support the consumer, but also support the dealers and support the people that are trying to do stuff. And I've certainly, like I said, been dealing with other companies for a long time, and they don't give a damn. They try, but they just don't. And I think our team here in the United States is more than capable of doing that, getting the feedback back to engineers in China, as well as other engineers in other countries we work with, to then come up with a solution, get a fix, and move on.
So what's typically the turnaround time on these fixes? Because I feel like this past month, you guys have put out, I think, 2 or 3 firmwares, and not just obviously for the Nano versions, but also for the Light version. I be completely honest, I haven't been keeping up really at all with the Evo 2 since the Light Plus and the Lights have arrived. I've just put the others by the wayside. But what's like the process here, the turnaround time by the time you have people reporting this information back? And are you guys running betas where you have testers in the field actively reporting this information to you? Because you'll see a video come out where there's some issues, there's some problems, but do you guys have active people that are running beta software, or looking at these fixes in advance, prior to these these issues coming to light?
We do. We have a number of guys that we have several here in the United States, myself included, that runs the testing when we have the time and weather permitting and everything else. We certainly want to try and get a solution out as soon as possible. And then from the factory level, if there's something mechanically wrong with the aircraft, to see these and recognize these are not small, simple changes. They have to go through the brand, a new manufacturing process. They have to source something from somewhere else. So it's not just like, hey, send it back and here you go. It is quite a complicated thing. It's not as simple as people think it is, and as far as testing goes, absolutely. The guys that probably should have the most knowledge, and I'll just push this out there because ARMUS did this. We had 20 drones sitting out in the back there that we would work with DJI constantly for them to send us stuff and us test as dealers. And I'm not going to make you do that, but I'm going to.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, like for an enterprise customer, I'll open a box up, I'll test a quad, I'll even set it up, depending on what, how much this dealer is in for and what we need them to have when they go. But if I open a consumer product, you would have thought you robbed somebody at gunpoint. Like it's a whole shit show. Like when it gets to them, this is an open box. How dare you unwrap that?
Oh, I know. Remember, I said I ran a hobby shop, right?
Oh, well, you know.
You have a hobby shop, and people have stuff brand new in the boxes, and they want to look at it. So you have to cut the seal open on your new Traxxas truck and open it up and put it on the count. And then they're like, yeah, that's not the color I wanted. So then you put it back in the box, and the next guy's like, well, I don't want one with a broken seal.
Well, we've already had that happen. We've had that happen. We've had that happen a few times where somebody, the marking on the back of the Nano boxes say white, but it's orange in there. Or if it says gray, it's really red. So I've had a few instances like that, which I get it. That can happen. That can happen. I can understand how that can happen at these factories. I get that. And we were able to easily rectify those issues, tracking down who got what. But as I'm belching up some sweet baby juices here.
I wanted to take 1 second and recognize Jared that was out there that absolutely said something about the green screen behind Greg's head. So I thought maybe we were playing football on that bad boy.
We can't talk about that.
Yeah, that green screen before the show even started. I mean, there was explicitives being thrown, and I've never heard. Greg went from pink, purple to all the way to red, so he hit all the shades of Pilot Institute. Right before the show. So, John, let's go ahead and debunk this straight out of the gate, because this is one of the things I have bullet points here on the left-hand side here.
You got it.
Autel,
yes.
An American company or a Chinese company?
Chinese company, Chinese owner, bulk of the manufacturing done in China. A lot of the components can and are built in other countries, to include the United States.
Okay.
So we definitely want to make that clear. We don't want to have, especially those that are, federal funded or anything like that, to put in and find out later that they don't qualify. So that is a lot of work to try and do. And to, again, I've worked with so many. I mean, I talk about DJI a lot because, who doesn't sell their junk? But overall, I've worked with so many manufacturers to include American ones. And I absolutely want to see our internal industry get better and work better and push harder and go farther, but unfortunately there are things that hold us back here in the US. Number one is sourcing. It's hard to source stuff here in the United States. There isn't anybody that makes brushless motors. If you look on the side of the screen, you have all these FPV racers. Do they buy any brushless motors here in the US besides using KDE? No. Maybe Scorpion.
Yeah, all of my motors are Chinese motors.
Yeah. So where do you buy motors? Where do you buy motors?
Should it
matter though? Batteries.
That's a good question, Greg. Greg asked.
It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter where some of the components are from. If we're talking about being afraid of data going from one place to the other, that's 99% software related, right?
You would be surprised at how many people are not educated there, though, Greg. Is that a Chinese speed controller? It is. Well, yeah. Well, we can't use that because it's Chinese on the speed controller. You're like, dude, it's a speed controller. Do we even know what that even does? Yeah. Well, because it, and they don't even know what it does.
So I guess the question, Greg, should be reframed like this. When it comes to utilizing a Autel product, what separates Autel from all of the other Chinese manufacturers?
I think we're pushing it right now is our service.
Okay.
I think that's I think our customer service, which again has been kind of lacking a little bit. We got overloaded. I'm going to tell you right now, with the release of the Nano and the Light, the customer service side has certainly been overloaded with a lot of incoming issues. And we're not talking just in the United States that the customer service guys are getting hit up. They're getting hit up in China, they're getting hit up in Europe, they're getting hit up everywhere. And we certainly have a lot of shrapnel that we need to kind of fix over what we're doing right now. And I think that's a big one. Customer service is a huge part of supporting your products that you sell. And I think we do a pretty good job with that. Next thing I'm hoping to, again, mold on why I'm even here is a good training structure. Learn your product. You can only go so far to just pull it out of the box and go fly it around. And I will say, which is very surprising to me, because when I came into the Autel consumer side of things and seeing how many YouTubers are out there making Autel videos of how to do stuff with it. I was very surprised by that, and coincidentally, I belong to like 250 DJI separate groups between 300 specific.
Holy
300,
shit! Wow.
All of these groups on Facebook, and sometimes you get some people that would talk or chatter and be like, hey, I did this with my 210, or I did this with my Phantom 4, or I did this, but I would say it's a surprising community that Autel has of users out there, and I'm very proud of that. I think that's a really great thing to see.
I think, and I think what it is too is I think pilots, users, they're looking for alternatives, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to have options in this industry when it comes to what you fly, why you fly it, what separates Autel. And I always go back to geofencing, obviously, because for me that's a really big deal. Is having a company that is going to trust me to be able to make the right decisions as a professional, that I'm not going to abuse that and abuse the brand's name to be able to do my job. And that's like, for me, that's why I keep an Autel product in my bag. But I'm not gonna lie, if somebody put a gun to my head and said, what can you do to get me the best possible image, I'm going to tell you 9 out of 10 times, if it doesn't involve geofencing, I'm going to grab that Mavic 3. I will. I may wait around 15, 20 minutes for the fucking locked GPS, but I'm going to grab it.
Yeah.
I have a follow-up question, or maybe even a comment there for John. So I've never owned an Autel product. And part of the reason why, right, and I don't want to be that guy, and maybe this is just a comment, but part of the reason why is, like, I think back even to your new release, right? Sub 250-gram drone, $1,100. Light plus premium bundle, over $1,800. When we think about the direct competitor there, like, I'm leaning always DJI. So when I grab my, my wallet to buy my next drone, I automatically remove Autel just because of the price point.
Yes.
Yeah, and that price.
What can I say to it?
So give us some. Help me understand that price increase. You knew this. You knew that price was going to come up. A lot of people had wallet shock, and those that have bought the Nano and the Light prior to this price increase were probably saying, hell yeah, I'm glad I stuck it out because I got locked in at X price before this 25% increase. So walk me through this increase.
Let's do this, because everybody does this. The gold standard of pricing is who? What company?
All right, well, we'll
DJI.
say DJI.
DJI. Any comparison to any product out there, the gold standard of pricing of where everybody should be is DJI's pricing model. Well, their business model is much different than any manufacturer that I've ever worked with, to include Autel. And the reason the manufacturing model, the let's get 1 million drones out there in an afternoon model, the as soon as we can kick it out, we can start selling it model. That model is very complicated to follow with other companies. So when you look at a teal drone, for an example, can you tell me how much a teal drone costs? It looks, it's not much bigger than a light.
I'm going to say, well, teal, it depends.
No idea.
Right?
I'm going to tell you, you have no idea, because it's out of your price range, and it's pretty much the same as similar physical size, capability, maybe a thermal camera, a couple other things, right? There's other drones that are out there as well that are way more expensive than DJI's Phantom line and whatnot. But we don't talk about those.
Well, no, and I get that, but I guess what I'm getting at is we started out the year. We started out the year at X
we'll
price,
get to that.
and now
we'll get to that.
Okay,
we'll get to that. But the more expensive, to answer the question, was why is it more expensive? And again, the manufacturing model, the number of units, the subsidies, because there are companies in China that get subsidized for shipping product out of China, and all companies that have some government intervention or assistance or help have things like that. You're familiar, a lot of.
Are you alluding to the fact that DJI takes money from the government in China?
It's not about taking the government. When we look at this whole thing that just happened with Skydio, with the $250 million push of product lines, they're buying stuff. They pay for stuff to be developed.
So there's no difference between what Skydio is doing to what DJI does in their own home country. Then so they strike a deal.
Make it to be really negative and bad, but
right. But it's we're not doing our company here. So Skydio is not doing anything different. It's just that it's here in the States. So for us here, we're like, oh, but if somebody a foreigner was purchasing Skydio, let's say for instance, they're looking at it like, well, they're taking money from the government.
Yeah. What if Venezuela decided to be the largest drone purchaser from Skydio, and now they're the ones that would be funding them instead of somebody in the U.S. or the government of the United States. So anyway, I don't want to go geopolitical too bad.
Well, I mean,
but let's talk about the price increase specifically.
Let's please.
So back in the day as a reseller, we absolutely had to follow tariff compliance. When you import from some countries, and China is one of them, we have tariffs that we have to pay. And thanks to our presidential administration, these tariffs started to be applied to certain things. And the way that both DJI and other manufacturers that were in China got around this was to fall under a tariff that was labeled as a camera, just a camera, like any Chinese camera could be around was 7%, 7%. And that's enough margin, enough percentage that it doesn't really kill the margin for dealers. It doesn't kill the margin for actually the company to make money, but it's literally just passed on to the end user. We have to pay it when it comes imported into the country, and the end user or the consumer is ultimately going to end up paying for it. Not the company itself. It's like that is the tariff, is that if you want this product from this country, you have to pay a tariff to get it. End of story. Now we've got some new import laws, and those laws now that they've been now released, the drones are now covered or categorized as a 25% tariff. Other products out there also are 25%.
So that's new. That's new.
That is new.
So
that is
drones,
and we have no control over that. We had no idea 3 months ago, 4 months ago, that the new importation stuff was going to do that. Was going to.
So here's me being devil's advocate. I'm going to ask the questions, just the obvious questions here. So now we have this 25% tax. You guys, this increase in price. You guys came out and openly said, "Hey, we're going to have this increase." You notified dealers, because that's how the vast majority of your distribution happens, is through dealer chains and big box brands. So increase the price, and a lot of people are saying, "Well, and I hate to keep going back to that DJI argument, but people are going to go back and say, well, wait a second, Autel increased their price 25%, but I'm looking at this Mavic 3." Doesn't seem to be affected by this 25% increase. What's the deal? Is this something okay?
Oh, go ahead.
Is this something that DJI as a brand is absorbing this additional cost that was being passed down to the consumer? Is that something that they are doing to keep their sort of chokehold on the market?
That's a good question. Do they find a way around the certifying tariff?
Well, so okay,
the number that classifies a drone to be tariffed are they finding a way around that? Are they absorbing the cost? Are they, when you look at stuff imported into Canada, the pricing is a lot different. It's different. And one thing that a lot of people don't really get here, again, I hate using DJI as the example, but I don't know how else to kind of compare.
Right.
As a dealer, you yourself trying to bring these products in, you could buy things from DJI here in the United States and California. They have stock of it. You could buy it there. Guess what?
Correct.
The tariff is applied.
Okay.
You look at the wholesale price, the tariff is applied. That's
Okay.
when it's applied on your wholesale cost. When you buy it direct, same product, and you buy it direct from China, the tariff is not applied on the same product. Two different, they have two different prices. And I tell you to ask Zach about that if that's the case, if you don't know that.
Well, and you know what else? You know what else? I mean, if you look at the Mavic 3, it came as a price shock when it came out. It is possible that DJI was expecting these tariff hikes, and they priced it.
So they didn't change it, and that's a good. That's great, Greg.
They just got lucky and didn't change it.
So, but does that hurt Autel? You know, as Frank sits there, Frank as an owner of Autel is sitting here thinking to myself, what am I doing in this industry? I want to be the number 2. Do I want to be number 3? No, nobody goes into business saying I want to be number 2, number 3. He's got a very successful automotive side. Like a lot of people think Autel is this smaller company, but me coming from the automotive world, that's where I came from. We used Autel Autel scanners, the diagnostic equipment, their TPMS sensor equipment. I've used Autel products long before I ever touched an Autel drone. I was using Autel scanners in the automotive world. So when you see this robotics division, it's sort of deceiving because it's like you're just seeing the exterior of this iceberg. That's a bigger thing. But you got to think, like, going into this, what do you want to be? Do you want to be number 1, number 2? People are, you know, I would have rather them brought the heavier pricing. You know, like, I can't believe like this is like a shock. Was it? I almost don't know if it was, all right, we have to launch these. We have time before these tariffs are applied. Do we apply this pricing increase and take the brunt force of this pricing shock initially? Or do we let people buy them at the cheaper price and then hit them with the pricing shock after the fact? You know, and I get it. It's strategy to an extent. But what happens is you get this initial wave of customers that are going to say, yeah, I'm going to buy this because it's affordable. But then you get, you know, the reviews pour in and people love it. And then all of a sudden the price goes up. And then you have people like, let's say Eddie, he's a guy who's never owned an Autel product. What's in it for him to purchase that Autel product? What's in it for him?
Well, you always have to assume that the person you're talking about has a understanding of the drones overall.
Sure.
Then we have a lot of other people that again, they're very competitive and show and talk and look at specs and flight time and all this other stuff. But a majority of the consumer product in which this is for, some people are just walking by in Best Buy and just go, "Hey, that looks cool. I'm going to buy that for my kid."
And I can get that. Like, I understand that aspect. You know, and it's only like an issue here because half the people that watch this show spend a lot of time. They fly, they obsess over this, they collect them, they have boxes. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I've even heard stories of people masturbating to an Autel box before. I won't confirm or deny who that was, but I mean, that has happened. It wasn't me, by the way. It was not me.
Are you sure?
I think it was. I think it was Sparky. I don't know.
Can you know? You want to know my guess of what happened? I think it was just horrible timing on behalf of Autel. They wanted to be competitive with a drone that was smaller, that would be competitive with DJI. They priced it slightly above because my guess is they just couldn't price it any lower without going at a loss.
Well, I've always told DJI they're too damn cheap. I've always said this, and it sounds terrible in the market to say competition. But again, you cannot compare DJI's business model to anyone else because this is why they own so much market share, because their margins are not based on them being profitable.
It's volume.
It's 100% volume. So I've always told them, if you could go 30% more expensive, guess what you could build out in your resources? More people to support your product, more people to help out with questions that come in. I got a guy that spends $50,000 on a DJI 210 setup and he can't get the damn thing working. If you could just price it a little bit more, then you could have a whole repair structure thing going on. So
is that the game plan? Is that the game plan Autel is going? Because obviously
We have to make that the game plan. We have to be different than DJI. It has to go that way.
Because when you start thinking about this and you see where he's at with his other businesses, like I said, he's got a very successful automotive industry. Like he, like $1 billion industry, he owns that market. Like when you think of scanners, you think of Snap-on, OTC, Autel. When you think of scanners in the automotive world, you can't murmur a scanner without that name. So now you're in this market, you have resources, you have the production, you have the engineers, you've got these resources since 2016. So now Autel's sort of been in this game, in this world for a little bit more than, I would say, probably 8 years developing their drones, right? That's and that's a long time in this space, like to be making something that's still relatively new. I mean, what's the overall end game? Because, you guys have expanded support. I remember walking into Autel Robotics 2 years ago. This is when Jeff Powell was the CEO of Autel Robotics. God rest his soul. He's not dead, but he's just not there. I remember walking in there, and I walked into the office, and I swear to Christ, I could have dropped a pin in that office. That's how dead it was. It was this massive space, and I say massive, but it was a pretty big space. There was 3 people and Tim, who used to run the marketing side there, and I was absolutely flabbergasted. Now, one of the things that you guys had going for you was you've already, manifested the Evo wave, like you were past that, so you're already a year and a half into the Evo 1. So the support waves were obviously a lot less, but now you have 2 new products, plus an Evo 2 product, plus the enterprise products. So now you have the support. So talk to me a little bit about what you guys have done with the support end of things, what you've done, because you brought a veteran from DJI in, Ken Booth from DJI. He's come in. He's had experience handling high volume. So what changes have been made? Because I haven't had a call support. Like, I haven't had any problems, not because I wouldn't, but I would if I had a problem. I would call support, but I haven't had any problems with my light other than the Nano, which I had an issue. Max saw I had a problem, and he's like, we're going to send you a replacement, which, by the way, I still haven't shipped that replacement out. I also gave away the drone that you gave me, Max, so I can't technically ship that replacement back. So I'm not stealing it. You're just not getting it back.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not stealing because I'm telling you I'm not sending it back. I'm just letting you know. Sorry, Dan.
So customer service, what have we done? We've got some movement on the customer service side. One of the more difficult things with bringing in people, experts on this stuff, is complicated to find in this industry. As I mentioned, in the training side of things, you have to know the product in order to give good, solid information. Sure. Otherwise, you're just going to read from a blue screen on your computer that's like, did you try to turn it off? Did you try to turn it back on? Did you do a compass calibration? Did you check the that is right. Not
you have tiers of support. So I guess my question is, the customer service reps that you have now, are they provided equipment so they can get familiar with it? Are they are they export? Because there's nothing worse than calling customer support and you just know that this person's reading from a series of
agreed. That is a challenge, and it's a challenge with any company, is to have people in the background that know enough about the product line to give good information pushing out. Now, we do have, I would dare say that even the training on the end user side of things and the public safety and everything else that I'm trying to create also can help with internal training to make sure people understand exactly how to respond to the questions that when we put out. I mean, here's another one, is that Tommy Gunn, which is a fantastic marketing guy right now, initially was hired to be doing graphic design. Now he's full all in, all chips in on the marketing side. And he's been working really hard on blog posts and where to find direct information from Autel to basically try to not just inundate the customer service with, hey, my drone don't turn on. What do I do? Hey, read this article, and my drone doesn't connect. My drone doesn't charge. My drone. So to kind of get around to that, what are we doing? We're trying our best to try to get the greatest people together, but that does take time. I mean, I can hire a guy if you've never touched an Autel, but all you've been doing is FPV. That's all you've been doing, right?
Right.
If I bring you in as a customer service rep that you've been flying FPV drones for the last 5 years, you've never turned on an Autel, what is going to be your familiarity with this product line?
Right.
Probably not much.
I'll do
So
it.
when we hire somebody new into customer service, it does take a minute, you know,
What does it pay? What does it pay? What does it pay? I'll take the job.
Coming in. I'll bring you in.
Coming in hot.
Another one that we've talked about internal, and I don't want to say this is going to happen, but you know, even on the repair side, you know, we don't have a lot of. If you don't have a lot of products with things going out there, you don't have a lot of failures going on. But people are going to crash. They're going to bang. They're going to boom. They're going to flip things over and just make, you know, mistakes. They're going to do it. And if you don't have a lot of warranty failure, but you need people to repair stuff, drones are kind of, you know, consumer electronic products are not ones that a lot of people try to fix themselves. You know, not these types of drones. Not a lot of people do that. And I've seen that as well. Hey, I wish we had parts that we could buy so I could fix my own stuff. These are hobbyists. These are not the everyday Joe guy that's just going to buy a drone. You know, these are guys that want to get in there, understand it, get it apart. But I will tell you, you know, if my little phone ever breaks and that camera breaks, I'm never going to try to dig it out of there and fix it.
I wouldn't either. I would not either.
Never do it. My little ATEM thing right here decides to not work. I'm just going to go buy a new one. You know, I'm not going to get in there and try to figure it out.
Yeah.
So
and that's the thing. That's the thing is like, to an extent, I'll fix things like when it comes to FPV side, but when it comes to the GPS drones, I don't have the time to sit there.
I can repair these and rebuild these things all day long. But if that freaking servo right there decides to just explode and start on fire one day, I'm just going to replace it. I'm not going to try to repair it, you know, to save a couple of bucks. I'd just rather just get a new piece and move on. So, but it's hard when you're talking about, you know, the smaller drones like this of trying to get in there and do repairs and figure out how they work and how they tick and what they, you know, and what they do. But anyway, our customer service, I'm hoping to see some great improvement on that.
Part of me is almost sorry that you guys came out with a 249 gram drone though.
Well,
you know, I say that because, you know, I know, but do they though?
Why do you have to? Why do you have to? That the Evo 2, the Light. Why do you have to, Greg?
Because you have to get your production capabilities up so you can keep your prices down. It's a necessary evil.
Yeah, but you know, the problem is with that drone, it's and I'll say this here, it's a hard, to me, the Nano is a hard sale right now. It's a hard sale when you look across the board of it's, you know, it's over $800, right? It's a hard sale. When I look at what I can get for $800, would I choose a Nano? Probably not. I would rather spend a little bit more money and buy the Light because it's more drone. If I'm going to be doing this professionally or something, or if I'm going to have any indication that I want to make money in the future, I'm going to have to register the son of a bitch anyways. So I might as well go a little bit further than do that. I don't know. I like the idea of the Nano, and I think a lot of people like the idea of the Nano, and I hope the Nano continuously gets better with software. I mean, it is better. I install the latest firmware on the drone that I'm not sending back to Max, and I was having issues with vibrations and jello, and since running that firmware, I haven't had any jello. I haven't had any vibration issues. I really don't give a shit about the speed, to be honest, as long as it's consistent. As long as it's consistent, as long as the speed is consistent.
I would dare say that whoever made up the 249 gram horseshit rule has absolutely no idea how to make drones. I'm already seeing it in the things here. Hey, I would buy it if it had prop guards. Prop guards weigh another 50 grams. You can't put it. That's 1/5 of the weight of the drone. I mean, hey. By the way, I got this awesome sticker.
You got that sticker.
But if I put it on here, I have now exceeded my weight. I can't, you know, now I'm over. So
I should have sent you the lightweight version.
That's right. The skinny version.
But you know what? So here's my guess. My guess is that drone manufacturers, all of them that are doing the sub 250 gram, they are after the crowd that's not going to want remote ID, because we all know recreational pilots under 250 gram don't need remote ID when it goes around, and it's controversial. But I believe, as much as I'm with you guys on the fact that I don't want a 250 gram drone, I think that's a very popular form factor, and it's something that is needed for most companies to get to the production
Well,
level. Now, as far as pricing, I think Autel missed it on the pricing. I agree that it's overpriced for the competition.
And John,
yeah,
I
I
know
mean,
it's
one thing is like what makes a drone is this thing right here. This thing right here is what makes most of the time a drone a drone. What can you do with this right here? Even though if it flies like shit, if it can zing 1,000,000 miles an hour, if it can do all kinds of fancy stuff, even the FPV guys, what is it that you're carrying to make it look good? And that's really the I don't want to say it's the focus, but that is typically the why you're gonna and if this means that in production we're gonna see smaller sensors that are more capable with lower not necessarily lower cost, but miniaturizing to get more performance out of something so small at 250, I'm right there with you, Greg. Otherwise, you can only pack so much in that little thing right there to try to make it work to be used in any major commercial capacity.
And I mean, there is a lot of tech going on the nano side of things. I will give it that.
Yeah, there is, and like I said, we do have a blog out there that you guys can jump onto that addresses this new firmware update. Make sure you're doing it right. Don't mess it up, people, please. Make sure it does it right, and take the time to get it done. But mechanical issues that some people have been addressed. I did. I was going to jump ahead on your things just real quick.
So go ahead. Go ahead.
Was one of my best guys that I absolutely asked to be with me and help me is Ken Booth. And if you don't know who Ken Booth is in this industry, if you don't know who I was before this show, then you don't know who Ken Booth is. Ken Booth is an IT guru that has been working internal with DJI for a long time. That guy knows his stuff. In fact, he knows it so well that he surprises even the internal engineers in Autel, because he starts to get deep into some of the things that he finds or sees as a problem, and kind of challenges. So a lot of people don't expect how good he is.
I mean, I've known Ken for a while, like back, at the DJI days. And like I said, I've been working with, DroneWorks for a hot minute, and he used to be my go-to person when I needed to get shit done or handled for one of our customers. And it was like, we have to have this. We need this now. He was my go-to person. So when he left there, it was a big blow to us, because I'm like, shit, I don't have a contact anymore. I don't know who I'm going to reach out to, but it does work out that work out that he's there. I've talked to him more than I care to, as of recent, going through these issues. But I mean, I'm glad that it's worked out. It's nice to have that direct line of communication.
Yeah. Let's talk about Ken Booth just real quick. He also, this is a part-time gig for him. This isn't his full-time job, and it wasn't at DJI either. It was a part-time gig. So with him answering questions at 10 o'clock at night Eastern time, that's a guy that has stopped working his day job and is now trying to help you fix your problem at 10 o'clock at night and trying to give answers. So I hate to say that. I love Ken to death. He might be a little abrupt with people, because again, they're not as well versed in the drone world, and sometimes people just do the same. Well, I turned it on and I turned it off, and I don't know what the problem is, and he gets down to that level.
I like him because he has the same level of abrasiveness as I do, so that's why.
And he don't, I mean, when we were, when he supported me, when he supported me at RMUS, and I would call him, you have no idea how many dealers he just absolutely hated working with, because they just didn't also take the time to really understand their equipment at all. And they just wanted the freebie information. Give me the freebie information to fix my problem, instead of learning what caused the problem in the first place. Yeah. And sometimes that's not just firmware that does that. Just because we released a firmware and breaks it. Sometimes the process itself, somebody didn't let it do. They shut down. They jumped over to a different app. They broke it, themselves. It wasn't the problem of the drone,
Yeah.
So
I get
anyway,
that.
enough about Ken Booth. Love that guy. One of my other favorite guys in Autel, Victor Dan, way too Dan, also a very strong member on the team to help.
Wait, to Dan. Where is he at? He's at a Autel?
He is out of Bothell. He is my liaison of information to try and get it over to the China team engineering and then back.
Okay.
And he is typically the primary testing guy. So overall, I think we have a fantastic team. Tommy, again, who is our marketing director right now, marketing manager, does a great job. Max, of course. Let's talk about Max.
Max is a cool cat. I got a chance to spend some
cool
time
cat,
with him.
Man. One of the cool things about Max is that we talked about his father. I mean, his father owns the company,
Right.
Autel as a whole, and he certainly does not take that to his head. I can tell you that right now. The kid is a young kid,
down to earth.
Yeah, very down to earth. He has a very high responsibility here to do a good job. Unfortunately, and I say this unfortunately, he's 22. I've been managing people longer than he's been alive. Firing and hiring people for longer than he. So he has a lot of experience to learn, crews and things and that. But his passion to also understand what the needs of the market is also very astounding. He really is very down to earth when it comes down to that. And Gary, of course, has helped define what, and this is Gary DeLuca. He has helped define what Autel Automotive is here in the United States.
He has.
That guy created, and we'll go back to Frank again, just a little bit of history, putting this little human touch to what Autel is and who the players are. Frank started his company with $5,000. He also lived here in Texas. Max has lived in Texas, if you didn't know that.
I didn't know they lived in Texas. I knew he was, I thought Max, last time I checked, Max was, he was up in Canada last time
he went to school in Boston. So
yeah.
he went to school in Boston, but Frank is very, to take $5,000 and have $1 billion company is something to be, the guy knows what he's doing, and I'm glad to be working with him and underneath him, and I'm happy to see Gary at least trying to be involved in our industry and the products that we're going to try to push out there and keep doing good. Please bear with us. I be patient with us.
And the reality is, and I say this to any consumer, is that you have a choice. You have a choice.
You do.
You have a choice. So you could go back. You can get to the end here. You can watch this stream and you can see all the cards that are out there on the table. And this is something that I forget a lot of times too when I'm looking at a product. I have a choice of whether or not I want to buy something. If I buy something, it's because I know what that product is capable of doing. I've seen it. And you have a choice to purchase it. So you have a choice to purchase Autel. You have a choice to purchase DJI. I like what you guys have in the new products. I wanted to ask a question, specifically more towards the lights, future software. Are they listening? Because we've been screaming, we need log, we need more professional aspects on that 10 bits, Greg and I, we've been doing these comparative tests with these drones.
They are certainly listening. I want to make sure that everyone understands that. Again, if you build a drone, an FPV drone, and you can whip one out in an hour, well, then try to make 1,000 of them in an afternoon. So there's a huge difference in the way that it does take. Now, another thing about China, and again, I have been to DJI Shenzhen, visited DJI 7 times to sit down with their engineers and give them direction on new products and new stuff. They listened and they could produce and they could make. It's not that Autel can't, but they've certainly taken a little bit more time simply because of not just pushing stuff out just to fix. It's like we have to prioritize some of the things. If you don't like where the button's at on the controller, they're not going to change that tomorrow. If you don't like the way the app responds, or has something there, it's not going to be changed in an afternoon. So
I noticed that you have a spot for your sticks on your RC, John.
Well, what I want to be very specific is I have this radio that matches my Nano. And yeah, look at that fantastic stick holder. I've got sticks in there.
I still go back and think, yeah, well, I should probably work for Autel and engineer the next
here's
RC.
the problem. Here's my light, and I have that same fancy stick holder, but I ain't got no goddamn sticks in there.
Yeah, that I apologize.
Some jerk must have walked off with them somewhere. Might have been at the CES show that I watched this jerk just walk in.
I cannot confirm. All I can say is fucking label your. If I would have knew it was your sticks, I wouldn't have took them.
That's my stick. Look, it's not here.
Greg, it's in the mail, right?
It's in the mail.
Yeah,
it's in the mail.
Yeah. I remember the conversation.
Oh, I can't believe I did that.
No, hey, I wanted to say thank you. No, there's no doubt. One of the things about the design, which again, it's a love-hate relationship here, was to try to keep it compact and put it in the bag.
Yeah, I get that.
I mean, that's the whole point of it, right? But I don't like personally removable sticks. I personally don't care for that conceptual idea in a design simply because they're easy to lose. They're not, So yeah, I've seen solutions where guys online have been putting them, reorganizing the bag so they can get in there. But this is great, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm a run and gun type of person. So like for me, like I just throw it in a backpack. I throw my RCs wherever I can fit them in half the time. So for me, that was a big deal. Like when I lost them at CES, and Greg's like, "Hey, we've got to go. We gotta, we're going out to the desert here shortly." I was like, fuck. I was like, I'm gonna go back over to the show floor and I'm just gonna yoke a set.
Where's John? I think this is his radio. I'm just gonna take this one.
So what I want to do now is I want to go ahead and open it up to the audience. We'll take a couple of questions for John. So if you have your questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat. I am sorting from newest to oldest, and we'll go ahead and wrap.
As you do that, I have a question for John, so people have time to type stuff up.
Go ahead.
John, you've been in this industry for a long time. You've seen the changes that have happened to the technology. What do you think is the largest area where we can still improve? Is it payload? Is it batteries? Is it the design of the drone in itself? I think we've established that the design is pretty much set right now. Where do we go next? What's the next big thing that we're going to see coming out of companies that they are concentrating on or should?
Well, I hope that that there's this fictitious thing that we put out there, flight time. Flight time's a tough one. Everyone kind of that's what people usually ask. How long does it fly? How much does it cost? Those are my two most common questions right there. So not that payload designs and camera capabilities are not going to be important, but it was Inspire 1. So many people have had 12 megapixel is what that X3 had, a 12 meg, and it was the shit.
Yep.
That was only like I bought my first Inspire 1 in 2015. That was 6 years ago. 6 years.
Not so long ago.
And everyone's complaining that why doesn't it have a 50 megapixel camera on your Nano? And you're like, whoa, hold on. So I think the payloads definitely. I think that we're in an impasse right now, and it's kind of a hard one because, again, when we look at any drone that's out there right now, we have plastic, we have carbon, we have metal motors, we have circuit boards, but nothing is really changing power density, even in the batteries. That if we want to increase flight time, we're going to have to start to jump to the next step. And brushless motors and lithium polymer batteries were the biggest advancements in this hobby, in my hobby, biggest advancements. And we haven't hit that yet. Now we're just trying to miniaturize, like I said, make it smaller, make it this, make it that. But until we find power density pack that maybe some, a different way to do that. I think that's a good way that companies are going to try to get up there, because that's it. We want to be able to fly longer. And I'm going to tell you this. I come from the days, even though FPV flyers are pretty good with this, I come from the days where 5 minutes was a long time. And if I could get my drone where I could shed some weight or do anything, and if I could shed some weight and get 5.5 minutes.
So I guess we need to ask too, Greg. John, so what is your thoughts on the Evo 3? What do you think of it? Flight time, how does it perform?
What?
What do you think of the Evo 3? How does it perform?
It was leaked already, so you can tell us everything you know. It's been leaked. So.
the Evo 3, John, is it?
Yes, the Mavic 3. Well, the Mavic 3 is actually a pretty good product. I actually had a chance to kind of fly that the other day, or a couple of weeks ago in Orlando, to kind of get my 2 cents. Yeah, it was kind of funny because I've been so DJI for so many years.
Smart guy.
Get away from DJI, and all of a sudden I have no idea what's going on in that world.
Greg, did you see what just happened there, Greg?
Oh, deflection, magical
master of deflection right there.
Deflection.
So
I'm gonna say, hey, I don't want to do the same thing we've done in the past and start talking about something that
you know what I respect that, because you know what's gonna happen. You know what will happen is somebody will get butt sore about waiting. I don't understand. On the consumer side, it just kills me the level of impatience. I see it a lot because obviously, I do this, right? I do this for a living. I work with the distributor, and I see the level of impatience, and sometimes I just wish I could just punch people in the face through the computer, because I give zero fucks. Like, you getting a drone like now, this minute, tomorrow, the next day isn't going to alter the course of your existence. You don't do this for a living. If you're buying a 250-gram drone, you getting this drone next day is not going to change your bank account. It's not going to make you a better pilot. Show some fucking patience. It'll get in your hand when it gets in your hand. End of story.
I've been in the hobby called RC hobby, as mentioned, for 35 years, and I have just out this door over here on the side, I've got planes out there that are $5,000-$7,000 hanging in my garage. I haven't flown them in years. I've been so busy with stuff, and my hobby's not my hobby anymore. It's kind of now, very,
you just building
very
Legos
the drone side. Yeah. And I've got probably close to 50 to 60 aircraft sitting in a storage shed right now that are just hanging out, waiting for one day down in the basement. I've got old airframes and old stuff, and this tech moves. It moves along. I'm never
light speed, man. Light speed.
Although I do have airplanes that I built when I was 17 years old that are still out in the garage that I have to maintain, and I can still do, but that's not the way of the consumer. Tell me you give me one guy in the crowd out there that has something older than an iPhone 6.
No. Most of the people are buying and moving on.
They're beyond it. And an iPhone. I was happy with an iPhone 6. I didn't want to buy anything else, and all of a sudden I had to buy it because technology moved forward. They changed the damn capability of the apps in order to use drone. So it's unfortunately part of this damn tech.
John, in some of these questions you can and can't answer. I get it. Smart controller for the Light and Nano series. Is that something you can see Autel doing possibly? I know you guys came out with a smart controller for...
If you were going to bitch about the combo price with this radio,
you're
probably going to bitch about the combo price with a smart remote. Smart remote by itself is $1,100 at retail, $1,200. So to try and do a smart remote idea likely would be fairly expensive. Well, a lot more expensive.
Same as DJI, though.
So I'm not going to say no, but
it's
as a cost perspective, that's a hard one.
All right, fair enough. What about sometimes somebody asks, sometimes they're having problems getting batteries for the older drones. Is that something that you guys are seeing?
Like I said, we just talked about that. Unfortunately,
sunsetting products.
Yeah, the commitment to we're not quite DJI. Remember that. we didn't make, 20 million batteries. We made enough for the products that were out there. And then once it's time to move on, and I'm not trying to defend Autel at all. I'm just trying to explain the manufacturing process, which becomes a little bit more, shit, that sucks that I can't get batteries. And why isn't Autel making more? So it's the make more problem. It's not the how many they committed to make it initially and to continue to make. And I actually had this question today with the crew today, and asked Max, what is our end of life cycle with a lot of these product lines, and if we're not expecting to be at least 3 to 5 years, there's a lot of people that want to use their stuff for a minimum of 3 years. And Evo 1 has been out how long? Any idea?
3 years, maybe more
than that.
A little bit more than that. Yep. Yeah. So I don't want to say no. We're just not. It's a hard one to do, and there's not like hundreds of thousands of them out there. There's probably Phantom 3s. They probably made 50,000 of those. 50,000 times, and that's single units times all the batteries. Millions of batteries.
Yeah.
And they committed to make that many. So there might be, I don't know, 10,000 or less Evo 1s and Evo 2s. There's a lot less. So anyway.
Totally understand. Well, hey, John, I appreciate you coming on the stream tonight, chatting all things Autel. As always, it's greatly appreciated. I mean, I appreciate you sharing your wealth of knowledge with myself and the audience. I mean, I get it. I could have you on, I could have Max on, I could have Gary on, I could have fucking Frank himself on, and someone will still bitch about what was asked. Like at the end of the day, what do you think is going to happen? Is there going to be an Evo 3? Likes, no, Scooby's not going to tell us that. That's not going to happen. Do we know about 10-bit color? Maybe you missed it. Maybe all of you missed it before we did the introductions. The director of training, yes, he's got some answers. He's got some quick quips when I need, responses, but the nitty gritty of the stuff, you'll have to wait till I get one of the engineers on. Eventually, I'll get one of the engineers on, and then we can get into those grittier things. But this is just a taste of what's to come. But
I really,
come on.
Again, understanding the industry, understanding manufacturing, understanding the pain points that we have in this industry, and as long as I've been in it, it is an endless up and down cycle. And
exactly.
And no matter what, the growing pains of any company are going to be there. And once we again try to take market share from a giant of a company,
a titan,
there is going to be some difficulty there. And
right.
I want to make sure that people get that.
With other brands. I mean, we're seeing this with other brands, not to insult Skydio, but you have a brand.
I will insult Skydio. I tried to order 25 drones from them a while back, and they told me it'd be 7 months. 7 months.
Yeah, there was definitely some.
DJI made, and I'm not saying again. I hate using DJI, but millions of drones they've made. And we can't get it together.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's a shit show, and even more so, obviously the pandemic has maximized this whole effect of things, obviously. So, but I appreciate you coming on, answering the questions we have for people in the chat. As always, John, I appreciate you coming on tonight, brother.
Absolutely, and happy to do it again, even if I could be a hangout on the side with a green screen,
dude.
Greg. If I could just, and he's frozen again. Look at him.
I'm not frozen. I'm here.
Don't.
I'm gonna be frozen when I get out, but I'm good now.
Is John frozen?
I'm not frozen.
Oh.
I was being Greg.
Well, John, I appreciate
you, man.
Thank
you so much. Thank you so much, everybody, and having me. And as always, happy to enlighten the industry and get it going. So hope to see you guys out there in the world, and as we start to get together for more drone shows, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions on anything. I'm happy to help people and push them forward, man. No matter what you're doing in the drone world. So thank you so much.
We'll see you in Texas, John.
All right.
See you in Texas, buddy.
Okay.
See ya. That's John McBride. Nice guy.
Oh, What a terrible
Awesome.
guy. Always so hateful, and man.
Awesome.
Yeah, my thing is no matter what happened tonight, as far as the interview goes, you're gonna have somebody that doesn't like what's being asked. They're gonna be like, "Oh, ask this, ask that." The reality is, you know the limitations of the
You know
questions
what
that
he
you're.
knows. Yeah.
You know what he knows. You know what you're
Yeah.
going to get response. Because John and I, we had a very detailed conversation about things like a couple of nights ago. So you sort of know where you're going to get pushback on. And obviously, it's like in business, you can't throw all your cards out there, right? You can't just say, "Oh yeah, we got this, this, and this." Like that's never going to fly. That's never going to fly. Like that's just not. That's just
I did
not
an
how that works.
Yeah, I did an interview with the FAA last week before the Super Bowl, and several people were asking, hey, where were all the tough questions? Well, I had the tough questions on my list. They weren't selected because you got to realize when you talk to the FAA, they pick the questions and they'll
Yeah,
only answer the question that you have. And even if you ask the question and it's going to get removed at the end, or they don't let you publish the video. So
sure.
it's you know who you're talking to, and you got to ask the questions that you're going to get an answer to. Otherwise you get into corporate bullshit, and
One second, Greg. Hey, the Steve FPV. I'm looking. Please do me a favor. When you locate your balls, head to the nearest exit, okay? In case you didn't get the memo, this channel is abrasive. This channel gives 0 fucks about your feelings. 0 fucks about your feelings. I've been reading your questions over and over and over like a nagging little bitch throughout the entire show. Is this a welcoming community? Yes, it absolutely is. Will I take the shirt off my back and put it over a puddle for you so you can cross the road safely? Yes. But if you continuously ask and act like a little bitch in the comment section, I am going to smack my dick upside your head. Stop it. Stop it. Your mom wants you to go home. Now go home. Fuck, man. I get so aggravated. Oh, so aggravated. Like all day long reading these fucking questions. Like, just shut up. Shut up. Stop it. Huh. All right, I'm done.
should we fix my green screen?
You want to try fixing your green screen? It would make me happy.
I'm so mad.
Ah,
Is my beer still? Oh, my beer is still a green screen.
I
don't
know, and that's what makes me even more mad is you have your beer transparent and I can't
no,
have my screen.
and what Eddie did was he went into the background and he basically said, select anything that's green. So he went to the little gear icon next to
I know, I
his.
did that.
Yeah,
I
you
did
did
that, and
that.
it worked.
All right.
It worked before the show, and I think Eddie took it away from me because of his beer. I think
Yeah.
that's what the problem is.
Hmm.
Only one of us can be removing the green.
Yeah.
I'll send you a picture. I took a beautiful picture of it. Man, that logo, it's I'm gonna have to come back.
I like that logo. I would love to put that, like, I would love to have that on a shirt. Like, it's the perfect hybrid. It's like the Pilot Dobo shirt.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I personally, I love it. Thanks for coming on tonight. Eddie, thank you for observing. I felt like I couldn't get a word in edgewise.
Yeah. And you know what? This is the first time that I meet John and I learned of him.
Yeah.
And I had a slew of questions here, but just like how he started the interview, right? He's a commercial guy, a training director.
Yeah.
I can ask a million Evo Light Plus questions, but he's just not the guy.
No. And that's the thing is, hopefully I would love to have Max on the show. Like, I know he'll come on the show. Max will come on the show. I would love to have Max come on the show eventually. I want to let them work through the initial woes, get some of that phase 2 updates out, and then, we go from there. I think that's a good thing to let them do, is to work through some of these problems. And like I said, end of the day is you can either buy it or you don't. Like, I don't know. Like, it's always, I buy an Apple phone even though the prices are egregious. Let's face it. iPhones are expensive. Are they worth it in comparison to their Android competitors? I don't know. But you get comfortable with something, you're willing to pay whatever it is. Like, I would pay, if they said tomorrow this is $2,000, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to spend $2,000 on this because I'm comfortable with it. I'm familiar with it. So it's hard to really justify price. Price means something different to everybody. Does it suck that it happened overnight? Yes, absolutely. It sucked. But, that's inflation. That's, rules. That's tariffs. I mean, We can't.
I
We
just
can
think
only fight and
DJI
push back
was
so far.
Yeah, I just think DJI was very lucky in the sense that they probably saw it coming and they priced it into the Mavic 3. There's a reason the Mavic 3 is so expensive.
Yeah.
And you know, in comparison to the other ones, they were just smart, I think smarter, or had more foresight, or had more inside information. I don't know what it was, but I think they would have done the same thing otherwise at the end of the day. But yeah, I can tell you, John, you know, he's the guy that you see at a show. He sees you and he gives you this big bear hug, and you know that this guy, he's one of the nicest guy in the industry. And I called him. I had an issue with a local police department a couple days ago. I called him in the middle of the day unannounced. He picked up the phone. He said, put me on the phone with the with the guys. So we did a three-way conversation. He got them fixed up. He said, if you need anything, you call me. That's not his, I mean, that's not necessarily his job. He could have sent us to customer service or whatever, but he took the call, he helped them, and they actually found the drone that they had lost. And that's the kind of person John is. He's that great of a guy.
Yeah, and you know that's the problem is a lot of the people, a lot of like I say the consumer side, the hobbyists, they won't experience that because they don't go to the commercial shows. They don't get a chance to meet these other guys in the industry. There's a whole nother realm. Like there's a whole nother realm. And if you're interested in seeing that realm, next week we're launching Unmanned Underground. So Unmanned Underground launches next week on the 22nd. It's called Unmanned Underground. We're streaming on Twitch. And actually, it's Randall Warness and myself and a couple of other people. So it's going to be.
And it's sponsored by Adidas, right?
It's not sponsored by Adidas.
Have you
But
seen the logo? Sorry.
Yeah. Why do you got to bust his balls, bro? Why you got to? Why you got to? Don't rile him up. Don't rile him up. Don't.
I'm just mad at my green screen. I'm just mad at my green screen.
I'm going to put a link on the community tab. So if you guys want to be able to take a part in that, that's there's going to be a different host every single week. This is going to be like more on the commercial side. So if you're interested in the commercial aspect, that's where we're going to be talking about the happenings. It's going to be a lot like more of a serious chat, obviously, but different hosts, and it's a different format. So I'm excited to be a part of that. So, alrighty. I think that's going to do it for tonight. Greg, anything else?
No, that's it. I'm always happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate a great
conversation.
This was a wonderful conversation. Eddie, thank you.
Thank you
for the 5 words you said.
Eddie, you got to turn off your green screen so I can fix mine and afterwards, because I want to fix this.
Stay original.
I'll just get out my head and focus on what I know's coming. Yeah. Cause I can't fall asleep at night without seeing my dreams. Delusion and reality, I'm somewhere in between. These voices in my head get loud and they keep telling me that I'm a fool for trusting in these wings. But maybe, baby, this what flying feels like.
Pardon? Can you spell it out for me, please?
So you want the first and last name?
Yes.
Wait.
All right, so it's my first name is Greg, Greg.
All right, that's perfect. Your last name, sir?
Do you really need the last name?
Yes.
Okay, it's F-O-C-K-E-R.
All right, that's
Fokker.
perfect.
Yeah, Greg Fokker is
all
my
right,
name.
so it's Greg Fokker.
Fokker.
She fucking read it back.
What you
Do
say?
you agree to have insurance specialists to call you back to discuss the best options to do therapy, okay?
Did you just curse at me?
I know.
You said fucker.
Sales calls, bro.
Bro,
This is a good show. These sales calls are ridiculous.
I don't understand how you get so many sales calls like that. Did you see? I got John though. By the way, I got him. He was
Yeah.
in there. I love when they're like sitting. I see him in the backstage there, and they're sitting there, and then all of a sudden they see themselves back on the screen. They look the screen. They look to the right. They look back, and they're like, "Oh shit, I'm still here."
Yeah.
So that's
Oh,
always
just
fun.
like now. You got me too.
But that's
Yeah, fucker. Like
Fuck.
Mr. Fucker, Greg
yeah,
Fucker.
no, yeah, Greg Fucker. Greg is still fucking around with the green screen. I love the logo though, but my boy Greg is just having some problems here.
Oh, he's
I feel so bad for you, Greg, tonight, but I love that logo, dude. That is the Pilot Institute, but with the Dobo badging. I love it.
let me turn mine off.
That can make a great shirt.
It
would
make a great shirt.
I like your background, Eddie. That's pretty cool, Eddie.
Yeah, I don't know how is it doing this. This is wait, I want to turn it off though. There you go. Now it's completely off. So I just want to make sure.
Can I do a virtual background too, Eddie? What's my virtual background?
Oh, that's your party place.
Yeah, it's the strip club. So this was a good show. So
It was a good
Greg,
show.
we're all having issues with green screens tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, some nights are like that, Greg. I feel like I'm fading. I feel like I can Thor snap myself away.
Yeah, you're
Eddie.
about to move to the other side right now.
He's gone.
He's gone. He's coming back though.